brought to you by WikiVidi.com. John Philip Sousa. John Philip Sousa was an American composer and conductor of the late Romantic era, known primarily for American military and patriotic marches. Because of his mastery of march composition, he is known as the March King, or the American March King, due to his British counterpart Kenneth J. Alford also being known by the former nickname. Among his best-known marches are the Stars and Stripes Forever, Semper Fidelis, the Liberty Bell, the Thunderer, and the Washington Post. Sousa began his career playing violin and studying music theory and composition under John Esputa and George Felix Benkert. His father enlisted him in the United States Marine Band as an apprentice in 1868. After departing the band in 1875, Sousa learned to conduct. From 1880 until his death, he focused exclusively on conducting and the writing of music. He eventually rejoined the Marine Band and served there for 12 years as director. On leaving the Marine Band, Sousa organized his own band. He toured Europe and Australia, and developed the sousaphone, a large brass instrument similar to the helicon and tuba. At the outbreak of World War I, Sousa was commissioned as a lieutenant commander, and led the Naval Reserve Band in Illinois. Following his tenure, he returned to conduct the Sousa Band until his death in 1932. In the 1920s he was promoted to lieutenant commander in the Naval Reserve, but never saw active service again. Early life and education. John Philip Sousa was born in Washington, D.C., the third of 10 children of João Antonio de Sousa, who was of Portuguese and Spanish ancestry, and his wife Maria Elizabeth Trinkhaus, who was of Hessian ancestry. Sousa started his music education by playing the violin as a pupil of John Esputa and George Felix Benkert for harmony and musical composition at the age of 6. He was found to have absolute pitch. During his childhood, Sousa studied voice, violin, piano, flute, cornet, baritone horn, trombone, and alto horn. When Sousa was 13, his father, a trombonist in the Marine Band, enlisted him in the United States Marine Corps as an apprentice, to keep him from joining a circus band. Career. Several years long after serving his apprenticeship, Sousa joined a theatrical orchestra, where he learned to conduct. He returned to the U.S. Marine Band as its head in 1880. And remained as its conductor until 1892. Sousa led the President's Own Band under 5 presidents from Rutherford B. Hayes to Benjamin Harrison. Sousa's band played at 2 inaugural balls, those of James A. Garfield in 1881, and Benjamin Harrison in 1889. The marching brass bass, or sousaphone, a modified helicon, was created by J.W. Pepper, a Philadelphia instrument maker who created the instrument in 1893. At Sousa's request, using several of his suggestions in its design. He wanted a tuba that could sound upward and over the band whether its player was seated or marching. The sousaphone was recreated in 1898 by C.G. Conn, and this was the model that Sousa preferred to use. He organized the Sousa Band the year he left the Marine Band. The Sousa Band toured from 1892 to 1931, performing at 15,623 concerts both in America and around the world, including at the World Exposition in Paris, France, and at the Royal Albert Hall in London. In Paris, the Sousa Band marched through the streets to the Arc de Triomphe, one of only 8 parades the band marched in over its 40 years. Personal life. On December 30, 1879, Sousa married Jane Van Middlesworth Bellis. They had 3 children, John Philip Jr., Jane Priscilla, and Helen. All were buried in the John Philip Sousa plot in the Congressional Cemetery. Wife Jane. Daughters Jane Priscilla and Helen Abbott joined the Daughters of the American Revolution in 1907. Their ancestor was Adam Bellis, who served under several different commands for the New Jersey troops in the American Revolutionary War. Late in his life, Sousa lived in Sands Point, New York. Sousa died of heart failure at the age of 77 on March 6, 1932, in his room at the Abraham Lincoln Hotel in Reading, Pennsylvania. He had conducted a rehearsal of The Stars and Stripes Forever the previous day with the Ringgold Band. He is buried in Washington, D.C.'s Congressional Cemetery. A school and a band shell were named after him, and there was a memorial tree planted in nearby Port Washington, New York. Wild Bank, his seaside house on Hicks Lane, has been designated a National Historic Landmark, although it remains a private home and is not open to the public. He was posthumously enshrined in the Hall of Fame for Great Americans in 1976. One of just 102 Americans ever to be honored in such a manner. Military service. Sousa served 2 periods of service in the United States Marine Corps. He first enlisted on June 9, 1868, at the age of 13 as an apprentice musician. In official records, his initial rank was listed as boy. He re-enlisted on July 8, 1872, and was promoted to musician. He left the Marine Corps in 1875 at the age of 20. His second period of Marine service was from 1880 to 1892. During this period he was the leader of the Marine Band in Washington, D.C. Sousa's salary as leader of the band was $83 per month, which compared to a second lieutenant at $115.67 per month and a sergeant major with 20 years of service at $30 per month. Under his leadership, the Marine Band became the premier military band in the United States. The Columbia Phonograph Company produced 60 cylinders of recordings of the Marine Band conducted by Sousa. The recordings, along with 2 tours in 1891 and 1892, led to Sousa becoming nationally famous. During his time with the Marine Band, Sousa composed several of his famous marches, including the Washington Post, the Thunderer, and Semper Fidelis, which remain staples of marching bands to this day. In July 1892, Sousa requested, and received, a discharge from the Marine Corps to pursue a financially promising civilian career as a band leader. He conducted a farewell concert at the White House on July 30, 1892, and was discharged from the Marine Corps the next day. On May 31, 1917, shortly after the United States declared war on Germany and entered World War I, Sousa was commissioned as a lieutenant in the United States Naval Reserve. At that time, Sousa was 62 years old, which was then the mandatory retirement age for Navy officers. During the war, Sousa led the Navy Band at the Great Lakes Naval Station near Chicago, Illinois. Being independently wealthy at this point in his life, he donated most of his naval salary, except a token $1 per month, to the Sailors and Marines Relief Fund. Sousa was discharged from active duty after the war's end in November 1918. He returned to conducting his own band, but continued to wear his naval uniform for many of his concerts and other public appearances. In the early 1920s, he was promoted to the rank of lieutenant commander in the Naval Reserve, but did not return to active duty for this service during the war. Sousa received the World War I Victory Medal by right of his wartime service. He was elected as a veteran companion of the Military Order of Foreign Wars. Thank you for watching. Brought to you by WikiVidi.com. Please like and subscribe below. Please like and subscribe below.